Okay, let's talk about Elon Musk. You hear that name and you instantly think Tesla, right? Or SpaceX, or maybe Neuralink. But here's the crazy thing. He's not just running these companies, he's completely turning these industries upside down, and they're all totally different from each other.
So that brings up the million-dollar question, doesn't it? How on earth does one guy do all that? I mean, he's not a rocket scientist by training, he's not an AI professor, he's not a neuroscientist. So how is it possible for one person to get so good at all these ridiculously complex fields that he's literally leading the charge in them?
Well, the answer is probably not what you'd expect, because it has absolutely nothing to do with his college degree. In fact, his secret to learning kind of throws our whole idea of traditional school right out the window.
So, to get what he does, we gotta get how he thinks. And it all starts with him being, well, a bit of a school rebel.
Yeah, Musk himself will tell you his degrees aren't the reason he's successful. He's got that famous quote, "You don't need college to learn stuff." And that really gets to the heart of it. For him, it's never been about the piece of paper, it's about actually learning the stuff.
Just take a look at his school path. So he goes to the University of Pennsylvania, gets not one, but 2 degrees in economics and physics. Pretty impressive. Then he gets into a physics PhD program at Stanford. I mean, we're talking top of the top. And then he drops out. Get this, after just 2 days.
And why he left tells you everything. He basically thinks the traditional school system has it all backwards. You know how schools often make you just memorize a bunch of facts for a test? He'd call those the leaves of knowledge. Musk is all about understanding the deep, fundamental ideas first, and then using them to solve actual problems. He believes in this so much, he literally started his own school for his kids.
So that's what he's against. But what is he for? If he threw out the old way of learning, what did he come up with instead? Well, he developed this really powerful mental model, something he calls the tree of learning.
The official name for it is the Semantic Tree Method, and the idea behind it is actually super simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. It's this: you have to understand the big foundational principles of a subject before you even think about touching the details.
Okay, so picture a tree in your mind. The process of learning starts with the trunk. The trunk is those big, core ideas. Like in physics, maybe it's Newton's laws. They're the foundation. Then you've got the big branches that grow from the trunk. Those are the main concepts. And only then, way at the end, do you get to the leaves. The leaves are all the little specific details.
And right here, this is where most of us go wrong. We try to learn the leaves first, right? We memorize a bunch of random facts and details for a test, but without a trunk and branches to connect them to, there's nothing for those leaves to hang on to. They just fall off. It's the reason you can cram for an exam, ace it, and then a week later you can't remember a single thing.
Okay, so building that tree is step 1, but that's only half of it. You gotta feed that tree and actually use it. And Musk does that with 2 really important habits: reading like crazy, and then immediately putting that knowledge to work.
So where does he get the raw material for this tree? Reading. Lots and lots of reading. And he wasn't a late bloomer. As a kid growing up in South Africa, he was apparently reading for up to 10 hours a day. I mean, who does that?
They say by the time he was 9, he'd read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica. His brother even said he just plowed through a new book every day or 2. And he wasn't just reading one thing. He was reading everything: sci-fi, biographies, you name it. And all that reading gave him this incredibly broad base of knowledge, a really, really thick trunk for his tree.
Think about this. When he decided, hey, I'm going to build rockets, he didn't sign up for classes. Nope. He found this expert, a guy named Jim Cantrell, and was like, "Can I borrow your college textbooks on rockets?" And he just devoured them. Cantrell was blown away. He said Musk learned them so well that pretty soon he was talking shop like he'd been building rockets his whole life.
And that's the key difference right there. It's not just about collecting information. That's passive learning. Musk is all about active application, using what you learn to build something or solve a problem. He didn't just read about rockets to know about them. He read about them so he could go out and actually design the Falcon 1.
You can see just how much this matters to him by looking at his go-to interview question. He doesn't care about your GPA or where you went to school. He asks, "Tell me about a major problem you solved and how you solved it." He's digging for the details because he knows that if you really solved it, you know the specifics. You know the whole tree, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves.
All right, so how can you and I actually use this stuff? Let's break it all down into 3 simple rules you can use to learn, well, pretty much anything.
Rule number 1, learn the trunk first.
Always, before you get lost in the weeds of any topic, find and master the big fundamental ideas. Rule number 2, read widely, think deeply. The coolest ideas often pop up when you connect things from totally different areas. And rule number 3, and this is the big one, apply what you learn. Seriously, knowledge you don't use is just trivia. The real learning, the stuff that sticks, happens when you're doing something with it.
At the end of the day, Musk's whole story is proof of this idea. It's not about what diplomas you have hanging on your wall. What really matters is your mindset, how curious you are, and the method you use to build your very own tree of knowledge.
So that leaves us with just one question for you. Whether you want to learn coding or economics or maybe a new language, what's the first trunk you're going to start building today?